welcome to the Bond Room Unlocked, where I take an item from this 30-year-old collection and relate it to one of the films that we know and love. Before I get into the nitty-gritty of the episode, I just want to say a few short words about my feelings about Amazon gaining creative control as Barbara Broccoli and Michael Wilson step away from producing. Personally, I think it's the refresh that's needed. Yes, things won't be the same, but Bond always moves with the times, and that's what we need to do. Personally, I am intrigued, I'm excited and a little apprehensive for what's to come. Will we get, an amazing film in 2 years, or will we get some classy 1960s series? Let's just wait and see. From a memorabilia point of view, what does that hold? Now, as you can see, I'm an avid collector. So will Amazon affect the memorabilia circuit? Will Amazon have the Prime logo on the merchandise? Will prices become a little bit more affordable? Or will nothing change? It's all there for speculation. In the meantime, what we need to do, we just need to grab our box sets and immerse ourselves in the amazing world that Eon have created in the meantime for us. Which brings me to Dr. No. Now, Dr. No features in the film of the same name from 1962. So let's hear Bond fan Martyn Morgan's thoughts on this very first Eon film.
Dr. No, the birth of cinematic James Bond. Released at the time of the Cuban Missile Crisis in 1962. I feel there are many positive things, but one of which is that it's a lean thriller that doesn't outstay its welcome. And the style is full of that early 60s spy caper charm, and it has a punchy panache. There is more physical action and less gadgets, and Bond has to rely on his wits. And during the narrative, we get to see Bond showing his detective side. And we have that great animalistic charm that Connery brings as he confidently swaggers his way through the story. And what's also great is, as a Bond aficionado, if you look, you can see all the tropes of James Bond's films being sketched in. There's the briefing by M, the interplay with Moneypenny, and the evil genius plan. What appeals to me is its simplicity. It might not be as sophisticated as From Russia with Love, but that direct, lean thriller that seeks to bring that tight budget all on the screen, the exotic adventure, the alluring women, the evil genius, but it's all done with a great simplicity.
The character of Dr. No is portrayed by Joseph Wiseman. This iconic character is depicted as a brilliant yet sinister scientist. He is a member of Spectre with revenge motivations against America and world domination on his mind. Now, he's a complex character in my eyes. He doesn't rely on brute force. He's more cunning and strategy. And of course, he's got these metal hands that sort of set him aside from the rest of humanity. And it sort of reflects what his past has done to him. Let's hear from Chris on his thoughts about Dr. No.
Dr. No is one of the most mysterious of Bond villains. Despite the film bearing his name, he doesn't appear until the final act, which really creates the air of mystery around him. We first encounter him in the scene where he's a disembodied voice giving the tarantula to Professor Dent. This is extremely effective, and in fact the producers used this again to introduce Blofeld in a couple of the films afterwards. When we finally do encounter him, he's the blueprint for the Bond villains going forward, both in terms of style, in his Nero jacket and character. His verbal sparring with Bond over dinner is a delight, and the line where he calls Bond a stupid policeman is one that non-Bond fans, including my father, often quote to me. When he dies, it's all too soon, and it just leaves me, for one, wanting more.
Chris is totally right. The visual representation of Dr. No and his surroundings are crucial to establishing the complexity of the character. Exotic yet menacing, shadow and colour, intrigue and foreboding. Dr. No is indeed a simplistic film that just sits outside of my top 10 in ranking, but there is much to like about it. Now, whereas Goldfinger sets out the blueprint, Dr. No sets space for that blueprint, just teasing us with the future of the Bond franchise. And the simplistic advertising that it had at the time and the merchandise just keep Bond fans coming back and returning to this film just to see and remind themselves of what can be achieved. And on the back of all the announcements, this will probably happen even more so now. And on that note, I want to show you this Big Chief model of Dr. No that I have in my collection. Now, Big Chief Studios, known for creating high-end figures from all areas of pop culture, was fueled back in 2011 by Mark Andrews and Tony Leatham, who had a wealth of knowledge within that industry. Sadly, after I obtained this model, the company went into liquidation, citing cost of living and, of course, COVID for taking its toll on the company, which is just a shame because, you know, I would have liked to have got more of these. You can get them, but, of course, they're way pricey. But still. Now, anyone who knows me knows that I like to keep my items in pristine condition. I don't tend to open them. So we're seeing this in a sealed form. It's got a great cover box of Dr. No. And I love that it's got like the Dr. No dots from the, you know, the pre-title sequence of the film there. Inside, we have an inner sleeve, which duplicates the front of the box. And on the reverse side of this, to show you, you have one of the rooms in Dr. No's lair, where he sits at his desk. So here is the figure of Dr. No. I'll just lift it slightly. He's of course sealed as he is there. He's got his suit, which of course, the difference between him and Sean in the film, he was very smartly dressed, whereas Sean was more casual, really. Particularly in the scenes that you see them sitting round having the meal in Dr. No's lair. It's a great figure. I don't really want to get it out of the box and have it on display. I want to just keep it as it is. But I can certainly vouch for how great this figure is in its entirety. Yeah, the Dr. No Big Chief Studios 1.6 scale figure. Okay, so if you've enjoyed this episode, then please give it an MI6 stamp of approval and click on the notifications below, and why not subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on any further missions or any further merchandise. My thanks go out to Martyn Morgan and to Chris Oatten for their input on Dr. No, and I just love giving fans from the community a voice to express their thoughts on characters and films. Also, I'd like to thank you for joining me here again at the Bond Room Unlocked.
Okay.